Hey everybody, yes, welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast. This is a podcast about Google Ads, digital marketing, search engine marketing, getting more quality traffic and leads from your online advertising. Thanks for being here. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by the great Chris Schaefer. Chris, how's it going today?
Man, it's good to be the fun, exciting one on the show for once. Hi guys, I'm Unpredictable Chris, and I'm here to bounce things around and make them weird and funny.
Hey, that's great, Chris. You know, it takes all kinds here on the Paid Search Podcast, and this is a show about actionable insight, about case studies, about strategies, about getting the job done, and getting the most efficient results possible. So, Chris, I think today we're doing a Q&A. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right, Bland Jason. We are. And our listeners are such smart people. They send us questions and we answer them. Somehow they're the smart ones. But we have answers for your questions. If you would like to be on our next Q&A show, which we might start doing more often out of demand from some of our listeners, people like the Q&A, so we might start doing it more often. So we're going to need more questions. PaidSearchPodcast.com. Click on the contact link and fill out. That is the official way to get your question in. We have a Patreon page. We have a Facebook group for Patreon members. And people post questions there. But if you really want to get in on the schedule of getting a question in on one of these shows, that's the official way to do it. We see every one of those and we go through every one of them and making sure that we filter the ones that we want to answer through that. So everything else could very easily slip through the cracks. But Jason, before we start the show, before we start divvying out advice, I want to tell you guys about the best advice. The reason we're here is because Google Ads is a system that works, and we all agree with that. But there's one thing that limits all of us, and it's time. Time and money. And guys, if you have more time to get more done, you can get more money. It's a system where you can get more done and be more productive, provide more for your clients if you are a freelancer or an agency, get more calls if you are an in-house manager or you own your own campaign and you run it for your own business. No matter what, those two areas are going to be defining points for the success for your Google Ads. And if you want to get more done, Optio is the tool that we recommend to get more done faster in Google Ads. This tool is very powerful, and much like us, it's a one-trick pony. That's probably not a good thing to say, but listen, it actually is a good thing because it does one thing and it does it well. And there's one thing I don't necessarily like about a lot of other programs is that it tries to be everything to everyone. This tool precisely targets exactly what you want it to do. You get in, you get out. It's not the kind of thing where you have to go through instructions and like, I'm going to have to get a training session to understand what buttons are where. This is simple, intuitive. You immediately jump in and jump out. It's designed to be an everyday tool. That's what I like. It's not a tool that tries to be everything to everyone. It is a precise targeted tool for Google Ads professionals, and we want you to try it out for 8 weeks for free. If you want to do that and join us in this wonderful tool, this wonderful application that many of our listeners have tried, you can go to optio.com/PSP2. Hit the little chat box and tell them that you heard about their great tool on the Paid Search Podcast, and you'll get that special offer. The offer on the page that everybody else gets is just a 30-day trial. You can double that and get an 8-week trial. So that's optio.com/PSP2, optio.com/PSP2 to get that special offer from our friends at Optio.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. We did it. We're here. We've arrived. There's a crowd of people, and we will accept your questions in an orderly fashion. First, way in the back row, we have someone from London. Jason, you want to read our question? Or I'll read it, and you answer. I think that's a better choice. I'll read our question from London. All right. First, as the more cultured person on the Paid Search Podcast, Jason, is it Aiden?
I think it's Aiden.
Aiden. Oh, whew. Okay, I got it the first time. That's good. Winning already. Aiden from London says, "Hey guys, love the podcast. Listen to it on my weekly run as I find it keeps my brain engaged on your conversation so I actually forget my 6-mile weekly torture." 6 miles.
6
Jason.
miles?
Are you up to 6 miles yet?
Back up to 2. In high school, I was right around 6.
Okay, that's good. I run about 100 meters. That's all I like to do. And the rest is just all heavy lifting and grunting and sweating. Anyway, my question is, how do I measure incremental? Oh boy, this must be a London word. How do I measure incrementally? Dang it.
I think it's
Say that word.
Big word for me to say with my Oklahoma accent. So I think if you say it with a British accent, it might come off easier to say. Incrementally.
There's no way.
Incrementally.
Okay.
How do I measure
that sounds more
incrementally?
Russian than... Thank you. I've been offered an additional budget, but need to demonstrate that this will be that it will essentially bring in additional revenue and not take it away from organic. Oh, boy, so many possible angles to approach this. What is the best way to forecast and measure incremental sales in PPC? Whew.
Okay, the best
More
way
money.
to...
Hey, more
There's
money.
two questions there. One is, how do you know... There's 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know if new budget did something for you? It's one question. Second question is, how do you not take away from organic? I don't agree with that premise. We'll get into that. And the third question is, how do you forecast and measure incremental sales? So the best way to forecast and measure, let's just knock that last one out first. You take what the client's needs are, what you know they want. You format that back into a case study or proposal to tell them you can do it or did it before. And then you give that to them and say, we can do it. And then they go, oh, you can do what I want? I'll hire you. And then you say, okay. I'm not answering that from experience. That's not what I do, because I don't do proposals,
right,
or case studies, because they're useless. But
right,
I know a lot of people in this industry, that is what they do. So if you want to forecast, you just take what you want the goal to be, you put on the piece of paper that you will accomplish the goal, and then everybody gives each other a high five. And you start spending money. Isn't that the way it works, Chris, with forecasting in this business?
I copy paste.
But the key thing, I want to make sure he gets this. Whatever your goal is, you just put that on the paper. So whatever you want to accomplish, just forecast it that you'll accomplish that, because that's what a forecast is. From my understanding in this business, that's how I understand it. Because every time there's been a forecast, it's always, and a proposal, it's always magically matched up to what the advertiser wants to accomplish.
To what they
So
wanted.
I think that's how you do it. Is that right, Chris? Does that sound right?
Yeah. At least that's what I see other people do. I mean, Jason, believe it or not, I've done proposals wrong, and I didn't get the job, where I actually said, oh, you guys want a 5.0 ROAS? No, I can't do that. And then they didn't give me the job. They said someone else said they could do it.
Well, I see why they didn't give you the job.
So I did it wrong. Yeah, I didn't copy paste. I copied 2.5 ROAS, which is much more accessible and reasonable, rather than a 5.0 ROAS. And then they said, "Oh, you can't do that. You don't."
Yesterday, I was on a sales call, and one guy liked me, the other guy didn't. Business partners, and the guy that didn't said, "Well, how can you get our cost per click down?"
Uh-oh.
And I said, there's a good chance I can't.
Yeah, I'll do the opposite. It will go up, sir.
So we're playing around the proposals and forecasts. I mean, I've never seen a proposal or forecast that doesn't actually show what you want to accomplish. So to me, they're useless. So we'll take that one out. So Chris, working our way back here. Hey, that's the best advice I can give. I mean, you want me to tell them like
it really is.
That's the only way I know how to answer
Aiden,
that. Honestly, is that there is no way to forecast.
Don't forecast.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not a thing. Every market's different. Right. Every situation's different. Every advertiser's goals are different. Oh, by the way, you don't have to commit a lot to try it out. Just try it out. You know what I'm saying, Chris? Just try it out. That's all you have to do. Try it out. You can put a little budget in, get some results, see how things are actually going to be in real life. Small risk, big possible reward. let's save the time doing the BS paperwork that shows just BS that what they want to accomplish. So anyway, moving back, take it away from organic. Let me ask you this question, Chris. I disagree with that premise. If you add more budget, are you going to take away from your organic traffic? I would say no, because I always tell people SEO is fine. SEO is a strategy that makes sense, but it's a different thing than pay-per-click, than search ads. So just have everything be an independent profit center. So if you add more budget to Google Ads, focus on your cost per lead, focus on your cost per acquisition. Was it profitable? Can you spend more money at that profitable level? Try to spend it. Whatever you're putting into organic, whatever resources you're putting in there, what's your return? Is it profitable? That makes your decision if you want to continue with organic work. So I always look at them as totally separate things. I know I'm right, but from a more technical standpoint, can you kind of break down that you're not stealing a click? And I guess brand might be a little different, but kind of break that down.
Yeah, so I would say the only reason that anyone would have a concern about stealing organic is you say, 90% of our leads come in organically. We get a huge volume of great leads organically. We track that. We know exactly where they're coming from. And then I would say, well, if there's that big of a difference, then what page are they going to? What searches are they coming in on that's that big of a difference? There should not be that big of a difference. There might be some difference, but if there's a big difference between those, then mimic what's happening organically and try and gather more, because there's a thing called click-through rate, and nobody has 100% of it. There's a thing called search impression share. Nobody has 100% of the world's market for one keyword, forever. You might for a little bit, but never forever. So in that case, there's always more clicks to garner. So if you are doing organic and you show up 100% of the time in first position, and let's say you have a 90% click-through rate, people search this, they always see your organic link at the top, 90% of the time they click it, there's still 10% that don't. There's always more to gather. So you're not stealing. You're trying to garner more of what you're not gathering. Now, 90% click-through rate's really not practical at all. Typically, it's going to be something closer to, a 10% click-through rate, a 5% click-through rate. So there's astoundingly high numbers more that you could gather if you put two positions in one search. So yeah, that's the way I see it. There's always more opportunity.
Yeah, if you can get an organic click and get paid clicks from the same searches and show up there twice, if each of those efforts are independently profitable, then it makes sense to try to get both of them.
Yep.
Brand, you could argue you might be taking away organic brand clicks, but if you're doing SEO for brand searches, I don't know what you're spending your money on.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would not say that, I definitely would say it would be dumb to steal brand organic traffic with paid.
If there's no one advertising above your organic listing.
True. If there's no competition.
So Chris, the third question here, how do I measure incrementality? I think I am from Russia, and now I live in London. And I showed up here 10 years ago mysteriously after my hedge fund shut down my investment partnership in Moscow. Now I am in London because I've lived here for 10 years, and I still, when I say incrementality, I still sound Russian.
Sound Russian, right? Yeah. Is it bad that I wish you were Russian?
I have a Russian background. Accent. My DNA or whatever.
You do it well. You could do it well. I hear Russian accents a lot. And being a gamer,
you hear Russian.
Typically, lots of first-person shooter games take place.
When you hear
most first-person shooter zombie kind of shoot 'em up games typically happen in a Russian somewhere. So. Cheeky breaky. It's just you hear that stuff all the time. So.
I can do good Russian accent, yes. But I have an American flag in my front yard. Red, white, and blue.
There you go.
So how do you measure incrementality? Incrementality. The only way I can say it with an American accent is to just try to shape myself as one of those smart people. So I start off.
Pull your shoulders up.
How do I measure Oklahoma? How do I measure incrementality? Put on my glasses. Put on my frames.
Right.
How do I measure incrementality? How do I measure incrementality, Chris? How you measure? Tell me. Tell me. I would like, Chris,
I would
we're
say
on the call now. I would like you to tell me how do you measure incrementality?
Sir, you give me a new budget starting April 1st.
No, Chris, we decide we not work together. You said it would not be a good fit. But, well, we're on the phone together. Tell me how you measure incrementality. That would be helpful to me. Chris, I had a call a few weeks ago with a mover. He wanted one-time work. I said, no, I just do management. And he goes, okay, well, we're on the phone now anyway. Please tell me what cost per click is in this market. That would be helpful for me. And we had a 15-minute conversation I didn't charge for, so I don't know what I was doing. But
wow,
Chris,
wow,
this one's very difficult because if you add, so what he's talking about is adding more budget. How do you tell if more budget worked? You can, but the problem is there's so many factors that play into it. Like, what if you add budget and at the same time your competitors ran out of budget or dropped their cost per clicks and your cost per conversion went down? I guess it's just volume of conversions. You would measure it, volume of clicks, volume of conversions. Yeah. You're adding more budget, so you should get more clicks and leads. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. Share of market, competitive metrics, of course, are going to be important. Do you get a bigger share of market? And volume. Conversion percentage should not make a difference unless you're increasing bids along with it.
You know what I was just thinking, Chris? Conversion rate. That's one place where you might see if you're stretching to try to spend the budget too hard. Like if you're at 80% impression share, they want to add double the budget, not just an extra 20%. And you're trying to find ways to stretch it and try to make that extra budget get spent. You might see your conversion rate drop because you're showing up on less quality stuff.
That's
true. Something to keep your eye on.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true. I always say the best campaign is an underfunded campaign. An overfunded campaign will see poor quality leads, poor quality traffic, and those conversion metrics will drop. So yeah, I totally agree with that. That's a good point.
So Chris, which one is next here? Are we going with Josh?
We have Liverpool.
Oh man, big
Josh
in the UK.
In Liverpool. In the UK. Yes, they love us in the UK. It's our dry sense of humor. That's what it is. You've seen British comedies, right? I mean, those things are dry.
I'm actually watching The Crown right now on Netflix.
I don't know what that is.
About the royals.
Is that good? Is it funny? Is that a comedy?
It's one of those smart
really
shows that
comedy?
It seems like there is comedy worked in, but it's not the comedy you'd be into, dumb guy.
Right. Yeah. Unless someone's getting slapped or pranked, that's what I like.
No, you don't strike me as a comedy guy, Chris, a comedy movie guy. You don't strike me as a movie guy.
No, not a movie. Well, you know that. I've said that. I've disclosed that movies are inferior to book form, but I think you could guess that from my bookshelf. Okay, let me get off my book high horse and let's do Josh. Jason, read it to me.
Josh from Liverpool, UK. I have many questions, but my main question is about conversion tracking. In my last job, we had an in-house web team who did all the conversion tracking for us. Good thing. Now, in my small marketing team, this won't be the case. So how do you set this up when working with clients? Is it down to the client? Do you send the code to a web developer? Are you using Google Ads or importing from analytics or using Google Tag Manager? As I obviously want to have the best data for conversions in order to make the best decisions. Good way of looking at it. Thanks in advance if you're able to get to my question. So Josh is basically asking us what we do with conversion tracking when working with a lot of advertisers.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give my best practices on this. I think it's important when giving best practices to give the opposite, which would be worst practices. So I'm going to start with worst practices. If you want to fill in best practices, we could do that. We could split it that way. So worst practice that I found is this. Anyone who tracks any form of metric that is not a money-generating metric, signing up for a newsletter, viewing a contact page, viewing the About Us page, time on site, percentage number of pages. If they view 5 pages, ding, you get a conversion. Okay, that is poor practice. I do not think that is especially in our post-automated world that we live in. If you maximize conversions and you have a non-money generating conversion built in, you are setting yourself up to optimize based on time spent on page.
Or pay
and you
or
might push
whatever
people,
conversion you're doing.
Yeah, whatever you're doing. Whatever conversion happens the most often, viewing contact page. You might have an automated system that would push people straight to the contact page because then you have a 100% conversion rate. Whatever the shortest distance to that conversion is, the system might set it up for that. So worst practice is to have anything that is the easiest form of conversion. The ideal thing to do is only have a completed action, a person who takes an action. And this should be a minority of the time. This should not be something that you get a 50% rate on. If you get 50% rate on something, cut it and find something else. Put a higher level of thing. And my best example is chats. I have so much problem with chat boxes. It happens all the time. And I was just talking to a client yesterday, and we had like a 30%, 35% conversion rate on chat initiated.
That would look good, Jason, on a case study.
Made oh.
I'm just saying it would. 35% conversion rates.
It would. I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that on my website. Can achieve 35%
conversion rate
initiation.
With an asterisk, and then at the bottom of the page in the smallest print with the same color as the footer. Might have been on chat initiation.
Somebody just clicking chat now because it's a giant
so
flashing.
They basically initiate with you.
Well, that's one thing I have a lot of issue with. These chat systems, I've tried many of them, and most of the time the tracking is really frustrating because it says initialize chat, start chat, and that's a conversion. And then if they send a message or they stay in the chat past a certain amount of time, another conversion. And then if they get sent to a contact form by that person in the chat and they fill that out, there's another conversion. So now you have a 300% conversion rate from one click. And it's because there are 3 different metrics of tracking. So whatever that final thing is, the thing that happens the least is what you should track. So it should be that contact form or the qualification that happens after that 5-minute chat when the person can say qualified, something like that. I mean, that's going to be your best practice for conversion tracking. Jason, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. By money generating, you mean can actually become a customer potentially, like a lead form phone call.
Lead generation, purchase, whatever it is.
So you can call them hard and soft conversions. I think in the past I've called them that. I think that's our biggest point, is that whether you use the tag manager, whether you use analytics for some conversions, whether you use the Google Ads conversion code, they'll all get you there. But the main point is that you got to be tracking the right kinds of conversions. So that's the first point, the hard conversions that actually lead to business activity, direct business activity. That's, or at least keeping them separate when you look at them. The other thing in terms of actually how you go about doing that with a lot of advertisers, I'll just tell you now, because people will tell you, hey, Google Tag Manager is the way to do that. That would really help you save time.
Yeah.
You'll get told that a lot.
How does it work? It's like magnets. It's magical. I don't know exactly how it works. People trust them, but I don't know how.
The tag manager, I get
works.
it in theory, but I'm telling you from a practical standpoint, I've always liked just dealing with one client, one advertiser at a time.
Yep.
It's worked for me because everyone's got a different thing going on, and I've always stayed away from that. So tag manager is one way to do it. A lot of people like it. Sending code to your clients' web people, that is a way to do it. That's usually what ends up happening for me. And it doesn't have to be a hard thing. There's two ways to look at it. One, if you do it right, you should never have to do it again. If you can get the conversion tracking set up and put some time into working with them and get it done correctly, unless they change their website or unless they change the way conversion tracking works 15 years into the product, That happened one time to
Right.
us, and it was bad. But
Yep.
most likely, if you can get it right and they don't mess with their website, you won't have to deal with it again. It should stay in place, and that's a good thing. And then the second thing is you've got to speak the web developer's language when you send them codes and instructions. So I've seen agencies that just send the web developer of the clients just the code. And I'm like, okay, that's not going to go down well. So that doesn't work.
Yep. Nope.
I've seen agencies copy and paste directly what Google says inside the conversions area with the just word for word instructions. That can work, but it can also lead to confusion because one of the things it says, put this conversion code on the pages you'd like to track. For me, call me crazy, I take the 10 seconds it takes to edit that and better communicate to the web developer. Instead of on the pages you want to track, I change that to this thank you page, and then I put a link to that page. So if you can be detailed, if you can speak their language, if you can look at it from their perspective, they've got a million things going on. No job in the world is hard as web development. We all know that from our interactions with web developers. They don't have more than a millisecond to attend to your email and your words, so you got to get it to them quick. So you just put it in very simple language. This goes here, this goes there. Thank you. You're the best. Blah, blah,
Thank you. You're the best. Thanks for your 2 minutes. Yeah, you're exactly right. I'll tell you my trick. Ideally, I use the conversion tag generator within Google Ads. I tell a developer to place it on a thank you page. That is, if you want the best way, the least likely to break method, that's it. That's it. Lead tracking's, that's going to be it. I mean, if it's a form. Now, phone call stuff, we won't even get into that. That's a whole other topic. We've done entire episodes about phone call stuff. But that's the best method for tracking a form, lead, something.
Yeah, and also, no matter what thing you use, analytics or regular Google Ads conversion tracking, you should have the global tag somewhere in there. And that, or whatever you need from either of those, helps you create, if you use analytics, I think you can add a part of the Google Ads code to it. But the point is that global tag is very helpful because you can create remarketing audiences forever from that on all different kinds of remarketing audiences. But you have to have that global tag or the analytics tag with that one piece from the Google Ads global tag. So,
yeah. Jason, this next one, again, international. We're super popular. And I kept this one in because I'm a little fired today. I'm a little heated from interactions I've had today, which you are aware of. So I kept this one in just because I want to hear you yell a little bit. And I want you to yell at Tommy from New Zealand. Tommy says, and please listen to the whole question before you start yelling. Hey guys, have listened to tons of your episodes. Such great content and discussion points. I reckon people learn so much from your podcast. The dynamic between you two is pretty funny at times too. However, I'm a little surprised. This is where it gets serious. I'm a little surprised that you guys seem to be pretty evasive towards smart bidding. I've been using these bid strategies for a couple of years now after much testing, and it's pretty clear that the majority of cases, the machine outperforms manual bidding by humans. It is assumed, or I had assumed, that this was the global norm by now. No one in my team uses manual. We use max clicks at absolute minimum. Would be interesting to hear your thoughts and any examples to prove why, if you believe manual bidding is a better approach. Many thanks and looking forward to continuing more episodes. Tommy.
Well, Chris, I don't need to yell. One thing I've noticed when people talk about automated bidding and then manual bidding, when they ask me and they say, well, I've used automated bidding, I've used manual, automated works better. What they're always forgetting is the final end of that sentence should be better for me. It works better for me. They don't have my manual bidding. They don't have my brain. Not a lot of people do. I think some people might, but
those people died hundreds of years ago.
No, honestly, what I'm thinking about, Chris, is extroverts who have the other parts of the personality. You have this personality, this brain, this intelligence with an introverted personality. You can go so far in life, and that's extremely far.
That's what it is.
someone with this brain and who's an extrovert, they're always going to make more money and go farther. And the introverts accept that.
Because they'll talk to people. That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, when they say manual bids, yes, your manual bids, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing I don't get about this is the push. I get why people are hyped up about it because it's obviously pushed in general. It's promoted. But why the push on other people? Do your own thing. Like, have fun. That's all I have to say on it. I've found success with manual bids, and I'm not out here trying to prove anything to anybody. I'm just people tune into the show to hear what we have to say. And for me, when I'm working with Google Ads, manual bids have been great for me.
All right. So good point. I agree with you, Jason. Tommy, I think multiple times, you said you listened to a ton of our episodes, so I'm not going to repeat what I've said before, because we've definitely talked about manual, and we've done great debates before where we talked about these in depth. But let me say it this way: for me, because it sounds like you work in an agency, you have people that work with you, so that a client will demand a certain success point. There's certain things that they'll say in a call, or certain types of traffic that's just winning traffic for them. It's really good stuff. And if you can repeat that, if you can get as much of that as possible, whether it's mid funnel, it might be multiple, might be some low funnel, high funnel, and middle funnel, all kinds of stuff. If you can continue that process where you gather people at different points and you find those success points, and as Jason has said so eloquently, sometimes they have guns to your head. Sometimes it's like, listen, you need to do this. I'm not gonna continue your paycheck. You get pressured to do things. You need to perform. And most of the time I cannot get that done. I will say, there is a very small amount of time when I can use automated bidding, but absolutely the vast majority of time, I am using manual bidding, and I find it to be the winning bidding strategy. And it's because I need to get things done within a certain pinpoint precision for a certain type of search. I need a certain type of level of control of that. I need to control the CPC to a finite point. I need to control my positioning, my impression share. I need to control all of that. I need to control which ads show up for that, all that stuff. That's the reason you have ad groups. So, when I look at manual versus automated, if you're doing automated, why do I see people doing automated with SCAGs, being so precise about ad copy, but yet leaving it to automated to make the decisions of bids and distribution and impression share and position? It's like if you're willing to make super detailed decisions about exact match, precision on keywords and all that kind of stuff, negative keywords, and then you just say, okay, I trust this last little part to Google, the system, to let it just do it for me. I don't do that. That's not what I prefer to do, because I'm under pressure to get it done right and get it done right the first time. And my family, my business, my company, my clients depend on me for that. And that's what I find to be the winning combination.
Chris, I had an orthodontist today I was talking to, and a longtime client, and they said, hey, we want a little bit less Invisalign traffic. Just a little bit less.
Oh, such a good example. Yep.
Do I need to say anything more, or do the smart people in our audience get what I'm saying?
No, there's a few people that don't know what point you're drawing here. Please define it.
So if we're on smart bids, what do? Do I create a new campaign and then give it its own budget, and then wait for those ads to get approved and lose all that ad copy history? I don't know what you do if you have some kind of smart bidding going on, or automated. But if I'm manual, I go, okay, this is our top impression share. This is our average, or our absolute top impression share. Oh, excuse me, not impression share. We talked about this last week. This is our top share percentage, our absolute top percentage. I'll just say percentage. Of the times we show
top
up,
percentage
this is the
and absolute top
we show up
percentage.
at the top and absolute top. And so, so we're 80% at the top. We're 75% absolute top. We're very aggressive. Okay, I can pull that back. I can show up at the top half the time.
Yep.
Less budget's going to flow to that. The cost per click's going to go down. More budget will flow to the non-Invisalign keywords, and I will accomplish what the client wants, the client, aka the orthodontist, aka the business owner who knows their business, who knows what they want to be doing with getting regular orthodontist patients and Invisalign right now. They want less Invisalign, but a little bit less. I can do that for them through manual bids. I don't know how to do that for them through automated bids.
Yeah. And I would go so far as to say there's probably a way. There could probably be someone that we could have on the show that would say, yeah, this is how you do it. But I guarantee you, your explanation of, okay, I dropped those bids 25%, and then I check them.
No, I just did it while I was talking to you. I didn't have to create a new campaign, set a new target impression share automated bidding, wait 5 days. No, I'm talking to you. I got one hand on my keyboard, one hand in my pants. I just did it with one hand talking to you in 20 seconds. It's easy. It's manual. You just do it real quick.
It's yep. So eloquent. So eloquent. Absolutely top of his game. Before we jump into this last question, though, let me remind you guys about the tool that we recommend to get you more done in Google Ads, get it done faster. What I want to tell you is that I've used Optio many times. I've used Optio to help me manage my clients. And let me tell you why. The reason I like the tool and the reason we've talked about it so much and why so many people try it and love it is because the tool is designed to move quickly through. There's not a whole bunch of tabs. There's a lot of graphs. There's a lot of color coordination. There's a lot of toggles. I love the toggle switches. I love, the little buttons you can push, and the fact that you can just hit and do things. If you want to write a new ad, it gives you the prompt to write the new ad. In Google Ads, you have to go through the different tabs to create the new ad. In this system, Optio, you can just go in and say, oh, I only have one ad creative in this ad group. Optio just reminded me that I need to add another 2 or 3 or whatever. It gives you the prompt to do that. It doesn't say go do it and then you have to open a new tab and open Google Ads and do it. It's all right there. That's why it's faster. That's why it's the smarter, faster way to manage your Google Ads accounts. So the magic URL, opteo.com/PSP2. We tell you that URL because that's the URL to go to tell them, hey, I want the 8-week free trial. Opteo.com/PSP2. Get your 8-week free trial. Try it out. Love it. And use it forever and get more done. Get richer. All right, whose turn is it to read?
I think it's me. Alex from Bend, Oregon. Hey guys, I just finished listening to episode 223 about the lazy man build. Really great content. I have 2 questions. You guys mentioned writing ad copy for headline 1 and 2. What about headline 3? Also, Jason mentioned not writing site link descriptions because they'll only show up on his branded campaign. I meant keywords. And I'll qualify that. We'll get into that. But can you elaborate on this a little? So headline number 3 and then site link descriptions, how often they show up. So let's start with headline number 3.
Yeah.
ETA, expanded text.
So we didn't mention it much because we were talking about lazy man build. And in reality, headline 1 and 2 are going to be the ones that you are guaranteed to show. And headline 3 is not guaranteed to show. At least we're talking about percentage wise. That's why we didn't talk about headline 3 much, is because lazy man build is designed to let's get straight to the meat. Let's just get to the stuff that matters. And then, we're not talking about campaigns a month, 2 months, 3 months down the line where we are at the point of optimizing lower percentage impression share headline stuff. Headline 3 does not get as much impression share as headline 1. So I'm going to care about headline 1 more so than I do headline 3. And therefore I'm going to care more about headlines more than I'm going to care about descriptions. So, you caught on to the fact that we didn't mention headline 3, but also consider that we did talk about descriptions and that we talked about literally using the same description on every single ad and not doing a whole bunch of A/B
and having hopefully 2 to 3 ads.
You have to consider.
Yeah,
exactly.
2 to 3 different ad descriptions.
So you're right.
It wasn't the same. It wasn't one ad. It was 2 or 3 ads. Each have their own descriptions. But then you paste those descriptions across all ad groups.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Rick. Yeah. And then I'll let you add on to that and then answer his question about
headline 3, Chris. I guess if you can get to it during the lazy man build in the editor, go for it. If you don't, not a stow shopper for me. You keep going. I'm not going to be worried about the performance of my Lazy Man build if we don't have headline 3s when we start the campaign.
Or write one and then copy all 3 the same. That I might do that.
Yeah, or don't have it at all. You'll still be fine. You'll still get out there and get traffic, and then you'll see what ad groups actually get traffic, and then those ad groups that get traffic, you'll see what ads are doing better, and then you can build onto those ads or create new ads that are copies of them and see how headline 3 performs once you add it in there. So not the biggest deal to me. Site link descriptions. So the only time I've really seen site link descriptions actually show up in the search results page are on brand searches, brand keywords. I want to say maybe they're also on regular searches, but in order to do that, you have to, this is how I understand it, you have to have I just did a search. I'm seeing site link descriptions. So what I was going to say on a non-brand, I associate them with brand. The reason why is because the way I understand it, not from reading anything, because I don't think there is anything on this, but just from my experience, to get super duper extras like that to show, you have to have amazing ad rank. And to have amazing ad rank, you have to have what makes up ad rank, quality scores or really high bids. So for brand, you have really high quality scores. So that's why you get these site link descriptions to show, because your ad rank's high because you have really high quality scores.
Position. Also position.
It's all
That's
together.
important too. You can't just have high quality score. No, that's not true. You bid really low, even though you have
in my mind,
score, you may not get first position.
In my mind, you don't have good ad ranks. The kind of ad ranks you need to get site link descriptions to show, unless you're bidding to the number 1 position. Like, I agree with you. I've never seen them show up in position 2 or 3. Maybe they do. I just can't recall seeing it. But they usually seem to be in number 1. How do you get to number 1 position? You bid a lot, or you have branded keywords that have super great quality scores, because both those things will get your ad rank high. But I'm doing an example right now, very expensive keyword. I know this advertiser is probably bidding a ton, and that's why I think their ad rank is high enough to get site link descriptions to show. So they matter. When you're number 1 on desktop, they really blow up the size of your ad in terms of the real estate you take up. So it's a really good thing. It's just if you're going to launch a new campaign, Lazy Man, it's not part of my Lazy Man strategy. Later on, you can add it in there for me.
All right, guys. Well, that is it. We have concluded the Paid Search Podcast. We are now throwing on our smoking jackets, putting on our luxury shoes, and entering into the Cave of Wonders known as the Paid Search Podcast After Show, exclusively for the high rollers in our club. Guys, if you want to be in the high roller club, it's $2 a month, but don't tell anyone how cheap it is, because we really only want a couple people in there. It's pretty exclusive. We share a lot of things about what's a day in the life of a Google Ads manager. You're listening because you work at an agency and you want to know what a life is like as a Google Ads manager. It's, you got to pay $2. I know it's a lot to ask for, but that's the price to get in. So we're going to jump into that. Jason and I are going to have a couple more questions. We have some questions from our Patreon listeners, some questions that ask about PPC management and business and stuff like that we're going to answer, and probably some other things too. But join us there. If you want to join us, paidsearchpodcast.com. Click on the Patreon banner, or you can just search for Paid Search Podcast on patreon.com and find us there. But anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. Thanks for supporting us and our sponsors. And thank you for listening.